God wants us to just have compassion on ourselves when we are trying something new, and He also wants us to try something new, right? Because that's how we grow, and God wants us to grow. So, welcome back to the Junior Mints podcast. This podcast is here to help you guys navigate life while also helping you guys have a fun life as well. My name is Finn Lawler. I'm your host. Let's jump right in. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about, the term the term of best version of yourself is sort of thrown around a lot. So I want to kind of dive into it and give you guys a yet and another. Sorry, I'm stumbling like crazy, but give you guys another definition and take on the phrase. So let's get to it. So pretty much, it's it's not a sprint, but it's a marathon though, and you gradually become better, like day by day. Now the choice is really yours to become better, but I think deep down we all want to be like the best versions of ourselves that we can. Some of us do it a little better than others, admittedly, but if you have the choice to be better than you were yesterday, I think that's great. Um, I mean, when you try to improve yourself like constantly, and like it sounds weird, but if you try to improve yourself constantly and then you kind of keep going and you don't see any results, you can kind of get burnt out a little bit if you keep trying too hard. So there is that. So strive to be better, but don't burn yourself out. That's not fun. I've been there, hated it. But no, don't burn yourself out just because you're trying to be best. Like, yes, be great and like be better than you were yesterday, but don't go out of your way and be like, "Oh, I'm better than you because I worked harder." Blah blah blah. It's like, no, 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 no. You're doing your best, and that's all you can do. Because everyone has their own different races. Like everyone is on their own path, right? So life wouldn't be life unless that were true. So I mean, being better, right? What does it really mean? It means having the right mindset, the right systems, and frankly, social circles can help in that area too, because they can be your like support network, right? If you have kind of a mediocre support network, then you either have to find a new support network that actually will help you, or find a way to improve those social connections. So, but let's see, systems could be anything from routine to like just like schedules and stuff like that. Mindset, rather than being like, oh, I'm a terrible person and blah blah blah, you can be like, you know what? Yes, I messed up yesterday, but today I'm gonna be better. So it kind of, I think it all stems from mindset shift to where it's like you have to have an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. Because when you have an abundance mindset, you're like, the possibilities are endless. Because when you have a scarcity mindset, you're like, oh no, like what if this, what if that? Like you have to have the abundance mindset that there is room for growth. Because if you don't, then you might not grow. Make sense? Pretty much. Depending on where you are in your life, someone, and this is where comparison really kind of sabotages everyone, is someone's chapter one is not going to be the same as someone else's chapter 15, right? Like, basically trying to strive for what they have is, sure, it's great to strive for what they have, but you don't know the process in which that they got to that step 15. Their step 15 to you looks like chapter one. So, my point is, everyone has their own path and everything, and you kind of you sort of have to figure out like what they did to get to that point, because if you don't know what they did get to that point and you try to go to where they want to go, you might crash. So I don't know. I've just seen that happen occasionally, and it's been kind of like, huh, okay. Um, it's important, I think, also to determine which dreams are actually yours, because it doesn't, nothing's worse than chasing a dream that you don't actually own, right? Like, if it's someone else's dream, but you think it's your own, then that's gonna set you up for a little bit of failure. So that's not fun, right? So instead, what you can do is establish your own dreams and maybe take inspiration from that person's dream, but make your dream a completely different dream. If that makes any sense. That way, you can actually chase your dream and not their dream. So it's also one of those things where you have to have like some systems over goals. I think, for example, let's say you want to lose weight, and you're saying, I want to lose weight, yada yada yada. That's different than saying, you know what, I want to, like, let's say run 30 minutes a day, because that's kind of it's using the SMART goal technique, where you're actually getting specific with what you want to do, rather than just being like, oh, I want to like get more muscular or get like more lean. It's like, okay, but how, right? So I don't know. Um, it's you kind of have to take what you can get, because it it's pretty much every little bit makes a difference, and progress is progress, whether it's 1% or 100%. Take those percentage points where you can, and just kind of keep moving forward towards where you want to get to. Because I know there are some days where I'm just kind of like, I don't really feel like progressing, but then I stop and breathe for a second, and then kind of just be like, what if I just do 5 minutes of, let's say, editing, or 5 minutes of photography? That 1% or whatever it is, of course, adds up over time. So keep moving forward. And it's one of those things where I know motivation can kind of not be there, but it's one of those things where when you take action, that's when motivation happens. Don't wait for like motivation to show up, because it won't show up unless action is taken, right? But yeah, it's one of those things where I have to figure out also kind of what's pulling you up and pulling you down. Like what's distracting you from leading the life that you want to live and leading the life that God has intended you to live. So what can you kind of cut out, right? Whether it's doom scrolling or YouTube or what have you, you have to find the you have to find like the top three things that are kind of like, okay, I can kind of let that go and focus on something else. I don't know. It's all trial and error. I think it kind of depends. I mean, yeah, it all depends on. I don't know. You just have to try stuff out. Speaking of trying stuff out, if you're trying something new and you don't like it, then just don't do it, right? And it's okay to say no, right? You have to, excuse me, you have to set those, sorry, you have to set those boundaries, right? And saying no for your own personal sake is totally fine. You're not going to offend the other person. Like, boundaries are bridges, not walls, right? A lot of people think boundaries are walls, but the only wall is just nothing, right? And like, unless you burn the bridge, then that's something else, but whatever. Anyway, set firm boundaries with yourself and other people, because then that'll put you at better mental peace to live the life that you want to live, rather than just people pleasing everyone. Sure, I have huge people pleasing tendencies for sure, but sometimes you just have to put that boundary down, and then more often than not, it doesn't really affect anybody. It would make it worse if let's say, if they violated one of your boundaries or something, and you said it to them and they got mad, and they sort of it's better to put up boundaries and communicate than this isn't even the best version of yourself episode. I'm talking, point is, it's okay to say no. um it's one of those, yeah, you got to build good habits as well. It usually takes about, what was that saying, 21 days to build a habit. in like 90 days to build a lifestyle, or is it's flipped around, but you know what I'm saying. Um and like when you're building these habits, it's it's okay to have things not go the way you planned. Obviously, that when you're trying to build something new or become something new, there's going to be like setbacks and everything. So that's kind of where self compassion comes into play. You just have to take it easy on yourself. I know it's tough when you want everything to be perfect, but just go easy, right? Like God wants us to just have compassion on ourselves when we are trying something new, and He also wants us to try something new, right? Because that's how we grow, and God wants us to grow. So there are multiple layers to becoming the best version of yourself. I'm still working on the very foundations of my life, and I think I've gotten to a pretty good point myself. However, there are still things I wish I could do better, but it's all part of the game of life, right? And it's what God intends to do. So, if you guys have any questions about becoming the best version of yourself, feel free to comment down below if you would like. We'll talk and everything. But yeah, being the best version of yourself, whether it's just being kinder or just whatever it is, striving to be better, even just a little bit, is better than being in a complacent spot. Nobody likes being complacent. I sure don't. But it all depends on what and how you want to live. So, anyway, this has been the Junior Mints Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you'd enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe down below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.